If you're a guy who runs hot, it's hard to find relief. Duke Cannon Dry Ice gives you an icy cooling effect that lasts all day without having to do anything crazy. Duke Cannon Dry Ice Cooling Antiperspirant. Crank the cold.
Duke Cannon products are available at the Winter Circle in Shelbyville at 603 Evans Street.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Ahead of the Curve. I'm David Thomas. This is Bo Gill.
Hello.
We're here to talk about some local topics as usual. We've got a good one for you today. But before we do that, I want to rewind the clock a little bit and talk about a special guest that was in Shelbyville and Bedford County area last week. Catherine Austin Fitz was here.
She sure was. She was there and she gave a great speech.
This was at
the Bell Buckle
Reagan
at the Reagan dinner at the Bell Buckle Banquet Hall.
Yeah.
And she's just a normal, approachable person, but brilliant. And she talked about cash, about where we're losing our holding cash, and these credit banks, all this kind of money that's just on your card and it's just a number. She talked about going back to cash because they can get it. It's very interesting. And her, what's her website?
Solari.com.
I really.
That's SOLARI.com. I'll post it on here so people can go to it. But it gives a lot of information about digital currency and how it's going to take over if we're not careful.
And listening to her, it really, it kind of frightened you at first, but then you do see that, especially since COVID, of where you go to these venues and there's totally cashless. I mean, they don't even do the at least a little bit of having a little bit of change there. It's zero cashless, and they're doing this for a reason. They're slowly getting us weaned in off of the cash. And then you hear about these coin shortages and all this other nonsense. Yeah. Please go to Solari and check out Miss Catherine Austin Fitz. We just are so thankful to have her, and we'd love to have her back. I want to thank Denny Hastings for getting that hooked up as well and being just a patriot for her cause. And if y'all do have any requests or any information, let us know. Let myself, David, know, or post online. We've got some materials that would be really good.
I showed this on the interview that I did with her, but this is her cap. It's Make Cash Great Again.
That's right.
It's a spinoff of the MAGA cap.
I love
it. Going around, but she has this deal where she encouraged people to use cash on every transaction on Fridays, and then they just changed it to every day.
Yeah, they changed it to every day, and on the Solari website, it gives you option to pay with cash.
Right.
If you want to become a member, but you can get a lot of great info there without becoming a member. But I encourage you to start checking into Miss Catherine Austin Fitz and seeing what she's the real deal. And we all need to be informed. We all, myself included, need to be more informed on that. And speaking of the Bedford County Republican Party, we do have a meeting coming up. Our next meeting will be in May. It'll be May the 8th at the Microtel in Shelbyville. At the Microtel conference room, we're switching our location. We're going to have our own area, so we are encouraged to have all of you show up and come be a part of it. That's May the 8th at 6:30 p.m. at the Microtel in Shelbyville.
All right, Bo, let's talk about one other thing too. I interviewed Catherine, and some of the stuff that you were talking about, she goes in detail. And I know we're going to do, I've interviewed her last October, and I had another interview in January, and we're going to do some more from her remote location. But she sat down for a couple hours and went over a lot of the stuff that you were touching on there. And I'll have that interview up probably within the next 3 or 4 days. I've already put some small clips. She was talking about cash and Amazon and about what they really are. And people they would send chills up their spine to understand what Amazon really is.
Yes,
it's not a big retailer. They're an information data collector.
Things are not what they seem.
Yeah.
And it takes people, patriots like Miss Catherine Austin Fitz and the people that surround her to get it out. And we need to be more informed on it. I can't say it enough. It's not like a broken record.
I'll take it one step further. It takes people like you guys out there to inform your friends. Once you see what's going on, you have to share it, because I think we're in this battle together for our financial freedoms.
That's right. And she's a big deal, David.
Yeah, I know that. Oh, yeah.
She's a big deal. And for her to come to Bell Buckle, Tennessee, she does love Tennessee, by the way.
Yeah.
And maybe we can get her to get property here.
But she already does.
Point. Oh, in Bedford County?
Not in Bedford.
Well, hopefully in Bedford County. We want her in Bedford County.
She might. She
likes walking horses.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
but it's I thank you. It would thank you for everybody involved for coming out. We just can't say it enough, and we just ask you to, you know, come and be a part of what we've got going. And we're just, our theme for the Republican Party this year is committed to America and its founding principles, and that's where we are. That's where we want to bring the people back to. It's simple and plain. It's from the Constitution, and we just want to keep it that way, not too complicated.
I think, speaking of complicated, Bo, that gets us to today's topic.
Complicated.
All right, so it came to our attention, actually, just here very recently, that there was a lot of ordinances, city ordinances and county ordinances that had been on the books for a long time. So I did a little research and found out, and I know some commissioners and some city council people are digging into some of the stuff that just doesn't make sense. So I just printed this off of the Shelbyville City website in the codes section about some stuff, and this one topic particularly came up. Did you know that you cannot park your own car in the grass at your home?
Your own car,
your own
in
car,
your own yard,
in your own yard,
not on the setback. Or
let me kind of read this, and then let's talk about it. Okay, parking is permitted for passenger cars and motorcycles in residential properties only on a legal driveway or in a garage. Now, that excludes your yard, your grass, if you have grass in your yard.
Right.
Okay, and it excludes that, and it doesn't say anything about parking on the street.
I think where they're going with this, and I don't know, but they didn't say it, was, you know, when people have stacks of cars, you know, they're wanting a cleaner neighborhood. But then again, there's rights of the citizens.
Wait, we got that covered too. Another one, inoperable motor vehicles, inoperable and or derelict vehicles are prohibited. I don't know who determines that, but a vehicle is considered inoperable if a current tag isn't displayed. Oh, and a current tag, not an expired tag. So if you have an expired tag parked in you're violating more than just not having a up-to-date tag, but you're now violating a code, okay? And it is fully not equipped to legally and safely operate on public streets. We don't have any type of inspection laws here in Bedford County for vehicles. So I don't know who determines this, but what I think the whole point of this is you got a lot of people don't know.
It's very general. People don't know. You know why people don't know it? It's because it's never been enforced, and it's only been enforced when it is convenient to be enforced in a situation or somebody's upset or it's a personal issue. And I believe that's where that's where I see it, because they could write tickets every minute of every day for people parked in their yard until the cows come home, and they'll do it tomorrow too. That I don't see that as I think what they're trying to do, but I think there's a little infringement there of rights of personal property. I think I can make an argument that being parked on the side of the road is more dangerous than being parked on in your street.
I don't think you can really park in your street either.
Well, you can't, but people do. So I would rather it be in the grass, but you can't do both according to that.
You can't have it both ways. So if you're going to get people to come in, I know of a neighborhood right now, and you do too, that there's 2 parking places in the driveway, okay, and a garage. So if you have 4 vehicles, you're going to have to pull it in the grass.
And the road is very thin,
yes,
and it creates hazards not only for pedestrians, cars, emergency vehicles, the whole 9 yards. These items that we're bringing up today, and these, I guess they're rules or laws, they are something that seem like they really hadn't been enforced or looked at. And I think everything on the books need to be looked at least once every 5 years, no matter what it is, because if it doesn't, you get a lot of stuff like this built up, and people with a chip on their shoulder could use that as you know, they could say, well, you need to do that, and even when there's a car across the street and they're not giving the ticket.
I think what they ought to do, Bo, and I think this is where it's headed in the city. I think that the new council is probably going to go through a lot of this stuff and toss some of them in the trash can, and then actually have a manual made of what the do's and don'ts. I mean, what you can't do.
Yes, it's so general, and they need to really list it out. They need to have, and then if they want to penalize, then they can do penalties, whatever, you know, however they want to do. But then again, it is somebody's property. And then are you telling them if they just like to have a few cars and they have, you know, that
you're infringing on the individual property rights at some point there. Where is that line? I think when you step across somebody's yard into their property, they own it. They own the title. They're paying their property taxes on it. If they want it to look like a junk pile, that's their business. Now, that might create me an uncomfortable feeling inside. But if they want to live that way, there's nothing really I can do about it. But there's always these buts. We want to try to regulate people's lives to the point. Now, we cross the line at some point. I don't know who determines what that line is, but I feel like that this is like an inconsistency. And I think most people that read this see that, well, if you can't park in the grass in your own driveway, next to your own driveway, are you saying I'm going to have to pay to get that paved, or can I park in that grass? Well, there was an instance where this lady, from what I understand, was cited for parking outside of her driveway because it was full. Had you rather have her park out in the middle of the street? Well, that's a violation.
Well, this brings up another issue before a subdivision is built. If that's the law and the code and they're going to enforce it, then they need to have a parking area for that neighborhood or something like that to rectify it.
Yeah.
But you know, we don't want to go there. I think the thing is it's not getting enforced because I didn't know it. Lived here my whole life. I didn't know it, and I parked probably a lot of cars in the yard. So I guess I'll get some rollback tickets in the mail. But
I don't know.
I don't know. But I don't think that. I think if it's on the book, it should be enforced, or it shouldn't be.
On 4th of July, our family gets together. We go to somebody's house on the 4th of July.
And you park
on
in the
Christmas.
front yard.
We park in the grass. Okay.
Ticket.
Okay. It's either that or park in the street.
Ticket.
So you got to clear this stuff up.
Yeah,
I mean, technically it can be enforced and everybody gets a ticket. That's stupid. All right.
I agree.
Another
I
thing.
agree. I didn't know that.
All right.
You're enlightening me. Enlighten me some more, please.
Condition of structures. There's a lot of this stuff on here.
Condition of structures.
That's considered your home and your garage or any outhouse.
And we want our stuff to look nice, right?
I do.
I do.
You might. Somebody else might not.
And we shouldn't force that on them.
Well, here we go.
Or should we?
Here we go. Any wood, shingle, siding, roof covering, railings, fences, walls, windows, doors, porches, ceilings, screens, if required.
If required.
Who knows what
Screens,
that means?
Required.
And
screens.
other exterior parts of a structure must be maintained and weather tight. Now, here's the one that gets me. I'm in violation of this because I swear I cannot keep a mouse out of my house.
Tom and Jerry.
Tom and Jerry's alive and well. In weather tight, rodent proof, sound condition, and in good repair. Now, I don't know who determines that, but I can tell you this: there ain't a house on the planet that's rodent proof. If a mouse wants to get in your house, it's coming.
We've all had the Sunday night at 9 o'clock.
Yep.
And we thought we saw something, and we did. It was that little mouse that came through. You know, they're just surviving like us. They're trying to get in the warrant. But you know, as far as who's determining what's you know, I guess that they leave that up to the building codes, but they're somehow getting in. So the mice are winning. But this is just another example of pretty much silliness. It's just it's.
I know.
I see where they're going, but I mean, if somebody wants a hole, I mean. And they're comfortable with living there. They might like the wildlife coming in. I don't know.
Maybe they're their pets.
But not that I agree with it, but I do see the side of the personal rights, but I also see the side of wanting to have a cleaner town, a town that wants to look better. And can you force pride on someone? Can you force that on someone? Unfortunately, you can't. And you can't penalize stupid either. If we could, then I'm sure a few times I'd be penalized.
Yeah.
So that I think that's where we're going. It's really general.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good job for the council to sit down and get us some basic common sense stuff put together. If we're going to tell people what they can do or can't do with their property, I think you cross the line when it affects them personally. But if it affects the value of other people's homes, you can make an argument there. If it affects the value of their safety next door,
yes, then
you got a problem. Like if somebody's setting fires out on the property line all the time, that could endanger those people. You got to have some sort of guidelines there.
And there's a way that they approach it too. I think sometimes they'll put a letter in the mail or something, and nobody wants to be told to clean up, but they probably know it's coming. You know, if there's a way they could handle it better, I think these situations get pretty heated real quick because you're telling somebody to do something and that's his own. I think they I'm sure the zoning office deals with this probably on a daily basis.
Well, it puts this type stuff though, these type of wordings and regulations puts our officers.
It does.
If it's police officers or code enforcers or whatever, it puts them in awkward positions.
It can be interpreted a lot of ways. There's a whole lot of room in there.
There's another one. Illegal dwelling units, RVs, campers. I don't know what a illegal dwelling unit is, but RVs and campers.
Mm-hmm.
Dwelling units, RVs, campers, and similar added to interior, exterior, or placed upon property without proper permits are prohibited regardless of the amount of time and place. That means if you own a motorhome or a camper, you can't park it on your property unless you go pay somebody some money for a permit.
So you got to have a permit when you take it out to go camping. Then you got to have a permit when you come home.
You got it. Now, to me, this is stupid. Okay. Now, I get maybe they're trying to keep people from living permanently on a vacant lot somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. I get that. Why not just say that?
Yeah, they should. And when they're saying illegal, what does it say? Illegal dwellings? They're meaning these are like mini barns or any other type of house that is not.
How do you know if it's illegal?
Well, there'll be wind and weather ratings on like a mini barn or something, and you'll know that it's just, there's just certain ways.
So I was thinking,
and if they were living in it, there does have to be an inspection.
So no sleeping in the doghouse.
Well, it depends how bad you've been.
I know. I mean, that would make that illegal.
You would get a ticket as well as have to sleep.
All right, I got to stay out of the doghouse.
Yes.
And I was thinking about getting a mini barn because it's a little bigger and maybe put a television. That's out.
It's out.
Okay.
You need a permit. You get you a camper, get your permit.
But the RV and camper deal.
Yeah.
I wonder how many people right now have a camper or RV parked under a shed or in a garage at their home
without a permit.
Without a permit.
I'd say most, if not all of them.
Who would know this type of stuff? And then, first of all, is this just a money grab?
I don't. It sounds like it could be. I don't know how enforced it is again. But I do understand that if it's trying to keep people from just setting up shop places and living. Now, you could determine that.
No, I'd rather see that than until we get the homeless situation taken care of in this town.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody got a right to stop that.
A good argument on that side.
I've got a camper right now that's vacant. And if some homeless person wanted it,
it'd be better than
having them sleeping out in the streets.
Give them a chance, but it just comes down once again to personal responsibility. I think if you've got a camper or any kind of, then you need to be responsible enough to know that if it's not weather rated or if it's not approved, you probably shouldn't live in it for your own safety and for other things. But then again, you should also have it stored away, and we would probably use common sense, people that own them, and it wouldn't look tacky. And
I've known people that sold their homes, sold everything they had, and bought a big motorhome and just traveled the country, and they live in it.
Yeah.
That's their home now.
That's right.
Is that a legal dwelling place?
Well, I would say it depends. If you pull on the side of the road and a state trooper tells you it is, then it might be.
Let's see, who knows? You never know. I mean, it's just all this type stuff like this that we don't know about.
It's a lot of things. The enforcement comes, and then the judge makes the decision.
Well,
but, you're already gone through.
I think we're going to see our city council start to look at this closer.
Well, I would say
to look at it.
To summarize it all is that I see where a lot of that's going, and we do want standards. How do you enforce them? How do you make people live by those standards? That's a great question. But we do want some. But then again, we don't want to infringe on our rights in any sort of way, because if you give them an inch, they take a mile. And that's always been the point. So I would say that people like me need to know these things, because I had no idea about them. And then I would encourage the council members and commissioners that are serving us to go over any rules that we have and look and see if they're antiquated, see if they're outdated, and see if they need to be changed, thrown in the trash, amended, or what. Because there's probably a lot of stuff out there that's on the books that probably don't need to be there. And I know there's so much else going on that, why do we need to worry about that? Well, it's an issue, and it's something that's on the books.
It's something that came up.
And it's something that came up, and then it could possibly infringe on somebody's rights, and it could probably, it could be weaponized in a way. I mean, if they're not enforcing it in certain ways. I mean, it can be interpreted a lot of ways, but we do see the values in having some standards, and having, it's like a penalty. If you pay a penalty, it's kind of like if you break the law, you pay a penalty. If you have 20 junk cars, you pay the penalty. It's kind of, have a little bit of
I know people that buy cars and fix them up at their home, in their
Yes,
garages
yes.
and stuff, and they're sitting in a driveway, and they're not legal, street legal,
No.
until they get them complete.
Yeah.
You're gonna tell that person they can't do it? That's not right.
Yeah, I guess if they get a tag, then they're good. Isn't that what that?
Well, you can't get a
You can't
tag on
have 'em-
some of these things,
Yeah, I
you know,
know.
until you get them.
That's right. Until
completed,
they're running.
and,
Yeah.
and they're not drivable.
Yeah.
Okay, I know a guy that does this, and he does it and resells the vehicles and makes a lot of money on these. He does it as a hobby.
Right.
You
We-
gotta be careful when
we don't need to
put something
penalize
like
that.
No,
that type
I
of
know,
thing.
but how do you determine that?
That's why they need to be looked at, and the ones, the representatives that are elected need to go in and kind of clean house on some issues. It's just
Yeah.
like on the planning commission now, that there's been some subdivisions built here in Shelbyville that with the roads that are just we talked about earlier, and that don't meet what we want here. So what have we done? We've gone into that document and we've made some changes, and they're currently being talked about, and you know, they hadn't been finalized and voted on yet, but that's what they have to do. And every board should look at their everything all the time. It's you know, there some things need to be left the same, some things could be amended, some things just don't we don't need.
I'll tell you one other thing too. I would suppose that there's a lot of leniency given on this by codes, but we've got elderly people that barely can make it on what they're doing right now. Their homes are older. They're starting to have some stuff happen, maybe some shingles and some siding that's fallen down. There might even be a gutter that's popped off. And I know that there's people that go around and try to help these folks, but that would violate a city code now.
Yes, it would.
And we've got them taxed so much with property tax, they can't even pay their property tax.
It could kill them. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, but there is relief programs in that area. I'm glad you missed that. THDA, Tennessee Housing, they do programs where if there is a house that's in almost disrepair, they'll knock it down, build a new one for you. You have to get approved and everything, but there is relief. But no, they should not. If they should recognize, a
lot of these people that live in older homes like that, that's their home.
That's right.
They're not gonna say tear it down. They're gonna say this is my home.
That's their home.
And we got to give them some leniency.
Yes.
And this got to get cleaned up, and I hope it does real soon. Let's change gears just for a second. You sent me a picture the other night of a plate of food.
Yes, I did.
What was that?
That was some fish from the
fish trap.
The fish trap.
Yeah.
I got trapped up there. That's why I meant to do that.
This is another one of our hidden treasures.
It is the fish trap. I sent him a big plate of food, and I ordered a 2-piece fish dinner, and it was 2 huge pieces. It had the beans, the slaw. It was wonderful. They make their own tartar sauce. You can tell they make their own batter. Like, it's not Captain D's.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not hating on anybody, but it ain't Captain D's.
Yeah.
And they're open. They're open. Captain D's, you know, went there not too long ago, and they weren't open. They just decide.
Well, there's a lot of businesses.
They decide their own hours, I guess, nowadays.
Well, there's a lot of businesses just lock the door and put a sign up. Can't. Sorry.
Well, that's what they did.
We don't have any help.
And but this was a different night, but we went and we loved it. I encourage everyone to give them a shot. You won't be disappointed. You'll leave full. You'll leave happy.
Yeah.
And it was a great experience.
Okay, I've got one. I just posted on our Facebook page the other day, Piggly Wiggly Market.
Mm-hmm.
I go in Piggly Wiggly the other day, and I smell popcorn as soon as I walk in the door. I said, where is that coming from? Okay, I've been buying these bags of popcorn out there that are like theater-type popcorn, like you'd get up at the Capri, like you get at our popcorn stand years ago. All right, and I've been buying them, and I didn't know where they were coming from. I assumed there was a vendor that was selling them to Piggly Wiggly. But Piggly Wiggly has their own popcorn machine, just like up at the theater. They pop their popcorn 3 or 4 times a week. They bag it up. They sell it. You can get a great big old bag of it for $1.65.
They pop it in the.
They pop it in the store and bag it right there. And I put a picture of the girl that was doing it. I didn't get her name, but it's on our Facebook page. And then I went back there and got some of the best steaks I've had in a long time. The reason I bring up Piggly Wiggly, they're not a chain store like you think. Now, there are some Piggly Wigglies out there that are owned by the company, but most of them are franchised out. And this is a local owned business, and they've got a lot of neat things in there. And
as far as grocery, it's kind of a historic location. Shovel Supermarket there. Most of y'all remember.
It changed over, and it was Foodland for a long time, and now it's turned over to Piggly Wiggly. And I encourage everybody to go there and use your cash to buy your steaks and buy your meat. I have this deal from time to time where you get 5 packs of meat for $25, and it's always a good deal.
I did not know about the popcorn deal.
Yeah, but the popcorn is awesome. So if you're a popcorn buff, you need to get the Piggly Wiggly and try it out. I promise you won't be disappointed.
And the popcorn stand, I mean, it's
up. It's back up.
It's up.
I'm anxious to see you open that thing up, sitting up there selling me some popcorn.
I will. That's the new venture.
Okay.
It'll be Gil's popcorn.
That's not
Stay
right.
tuned.
You're not doing that.
No.
All right. 2 hidden treasures in Bedford County.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We ruffle up feathers over here on the codes, and then we're going to end it on a good note.
Smooth it. Smooth it over.
Now, this I hope our city council does get on this and deal with some of the controversies and the inconsistencies and some of this crazy stuff that's there.
Yep.
But Bo, thanks for sitting down again.
Yes,
guys. Thanks for watching. We'll be back real soon with some more updates on this topic and others. And we look forward to seeing you soon.
Stay tuned.